morning, everybody. I'm Sylvia Scott, founder and CEO of Girls CEO Connection. And today I'm just really happy to have two wonderful young women with me. And one is our young woman ambassador, Addilae Carmichael, with Alyx Vorm, who is talking to us from England today. And she's the CEO and founder of a new company called CLYX. She was a neuroscience major at Harvard University, but she also, during that time, as we all know, the impact and understand the impact that social media has on mental health, especially young people. In 2021, she decided to build a platform that helps you make memories rather than watching people that make memories, like you see on some of the other ones, being part of the memories. And she's trying to put the social back into the media. It's designed to help you find your friend, if your friend is free to do what you want to do and when you want to do it. Alyx, what brought you to Harvard, first of all? Because you went to Oxford and then you came to Harvard.
Yeah, actually, it was the other way around. So I did a year abroad at Oxford during my time at Harvard, actually during COVID. Ever since I was a little girl, I'd always dreamed of going to university in the US. I think I was really attracted by all the extracurriculars. I was interested in a bunch of subjects when I was at school, and in the UK, you have to choose just one to study. Whereas I knew in the US with Bachelor of Arts, it was a broader spread. So ever since I was 7, watching Legally Blonde, I hope to escape to the States at some point.
Okay, so you were a John Harvard scholar. And what does that mean?
That means I had a 4.0 GPA. I think one of the top GPAs in my grade.
You started your business in 2021. Were you in London or were you at Harvard?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. I was in London. The ideas were kind of mulling in my head while I was at Harvard. But I actually took action when I came to London during the pandemic. You
weren't at Harvard. You weren't studying when you started it up.
No, I wasn't. I was on a leave of absence for a semester.
Okay. And then you went back.
Yes.
Okay. You must have incredible time management skills.
That's very kind. You're not the first person to say that. I would say a mix of time management and luck. But yes.
You've been in the States working with Miami Tech. So what is Miami Tech and what are you doing with them just exactly? And I know you're coming back to the States.
I would say I'm a big proponent for Miami Tech. I would say it's probably the most up and coming growing tech community there is. We were actually brought out there by a company called Emerge Americas, which helps, I guess, Americas emerge is what I would joke. But they basically run the Miami Tech community, even though it's obviously a very informal communal community. So we came out for Miami Tech Month out in April to help the different attendees and members meet each other, match with each other over events, find things to go to together. We then found that within the first 6 days, we had about 6,000 event responses. The tech community was super active there. So we decided to move our operations to Miami. And now we've been working with different community leaders in the space over the past few months to make sure that the tech community is accessible for more people. People are meeting each other, aware of all the events going on, basically helping build Miami Tech.
So real quick because Addie's got some questions and wants to talk to you. What exactly will CLYX do?
It's essentially Tinder, but for events. So rather than swiping on new people to meet, you can swipe on events and find people to go to them with. And you can say, okay, I just want to match with my friends on events. I don't want to go with anyone else. I just want to see which events my friends are going to. Or you can say, I'm in Miami. I want to see which events tech people are going to. So it's essentially a way to find something you want to do and then find someone to come with you, whether it's one of your friends or someone in a similar interest group.
I wish I'd had that when I moved to New York at one point.
Thanks. And many people are moving to Miami right now, especially for tech, which is really what sealed the deal and encouraging us to start that.
Now, Addie, I know you want to talk to Alyx about some things. Alyx,
yes.
It's Alyx, not Alyx.
Wonderful. I feel you. I have an eclectic name too. Trying to get a Starbucks barista to spell Addilae is insane. So I fully understand.
I know. I normally go with my alias, which is just Alyx, and it works much easier.
Hiding as a regular person with a regular name. I like it. I like it. Well, it sounds like you have been incredibly busy in such a short span of your life. How do you ever manage to make time to go leisuring with your friends? And what are some things that you do when you're not being so business savvy?
That's a very good question. My friends would probably ask something similar. I've always kind of been astounded. I'm so grateful that my friends still exist because I have so little time. So big shout out to them. But in terms of leisure, before I went to Harvard and started CLYX, I used to run marathons competitively. I actually won the Newcastle Marathon, the female division. And so even now to this day, running is my biggest leisure activity. After this, trainers on, going out.
Heck yeah, absolutely. Sounds like you're a very well-rounded person, which is definitely something you need in this business world. I think that's great. Speaking of that, how did you learn how to run a business at such a young age? I think that's not something we're taught, very directly while we're in high school or maybe in college. How'd you get your feet on the ground?
It's a good question. I would say I still don't know how to run a business. How I tried to work it out. Obviously, I'm lucky enough to have some awesome mentors in the space, but really what helped me was the people around me, in that I had an awesome C.E.O, Lee, very early on, a lot of experience in the business world. I made sure, I think what really interested me was startups. I used to think, it's this big black box, I don't know what to do. Once you're in that black box, the next step often immediately becomes obvious. You have an idea, well then what's next? You need a business plan. Okay, you write that. What then? You need investors. Okay, find them. Okay, let's say you have the cash, then what do? You need a prototype. Okay, so you need to find a designer. Like the steps kind of unfold as you go. And then, okay, you've built your app. What do you need now? Users. Okay, so I need a marketing plan. Okay, how do I get users? So I think the fact that as long as you make the first step, the next become a lot easier. I could not be a big enough proponent of that. I will say I'm not sure I knew quite what I was getting into. But it's been an insane journey, and generally you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and the focus is.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like jump right in. For sure. Jump right in and just go for it.
My motto. I think I'm going to make that my motto.
Yeah, absolutely. As I know, we have a lot of high schoolers and young adult women who are going to be listening and, just wondering how you got to where you are today. What were some of the classes you took in high school and college that you really remember being super informative for your business journey?
It's a great question. Part of me wonders if there's some sarcasm next. None immediately popped to mind. Neuro major, I'm not sure too many applied. While at Harvard, I took a lot of advanced neuro classes. I took some stats. I think the psychology element really interests me, but probably didn't help too much. I took a class called Stat 104 at Harvard, which helped me with the data analysis I do right now. I'd say the biggest help for me is probably a lesson my mother taught me very early on, which was, she once said, you should always try and move mountains. I've never seen someone never take no for an answer, unlike my mother. And this whole year plus journey, that's really been the most helpful thing. There is always a way to do something. You just need to kind of bash your head against the wall hard enough, try with enough effort, and work. And I think that lesson really taught me a lot more than any education did.
And that kind of ties into my final question, which would be, what advice do you have for young women in high school and in college who are starting a business and who want to get into this magical world that you've seemed to have stumbled upon? What advice would you give these girls?
I would say there's no time like the present. There will always be, it sounds obvious, there'll always be 100 reasons not to start something. But, am I going to fail? Is it going to work? Am I going to enjoy it? But in startup land, we have an expression that a lot of people tropify, which is fail fast. While I think it's overused, I also think it's very true in that at this young age, not very much can go wrong as long as you have a problem. You're trying to help someone, you're trying to help the world. There's something you're trying to solve. You can't really go very wrong. It's always going to be a phenomenal experience. I remember early on, we worked with an awesome development agency called Taptitude, and I once in a low moment, I said to Marco, a close friend of mine now, Marco, if we fail, will you hire me? He looked at me and was like, Alyx, I'm not gonna be hiring you now. Now you're set, you have experience. That's very true. I used to associate degrees as the only form of experience, but whether your business fails or not, when you've gone through that process, you come out knowing so much more. I haven't learned more in my whole life as I have the past year. So for anyone, looking to get into it, I would say just jump. There's no downside. If it succeeds, amazing. You have a dream, you've solved a problem, you've helped people. And if it doesn't, you've learned a ton, you've grown a ton, and you're going to be much better set for whatever's next.
Alyx, I'm going to interrupt Addilae for a minute. We talk about things being at such a young age. You're 23. That's like most people just getting out of college. That really is a young age. What do your parents say about this? What about your friends? I mean, that's something you've really taken these steps. What does your mother think now? And what do your friends think about all of this?
Both my parents were incredibly supportive from the beginning. Obviously, my mother had some anxiety with me taking time out of college to do this, but then it quickly went quite successfully. So she's very on board. My friends, I think I've always been the kind of anomaly and crazy human in our group, for better or for worse. And they're always super supportive. I think they pay me far too many compliments and boost my ego at all the right moments. So I'm super grateful. It's just kind of my life, and so we're all used to it, and it doesn't feel very different. I think they understand the problem I'm trying to solve, which helps a lot because it's a product they all want to use. So at the very beginning, they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want this. How can I help? Build it. And now that it exists and they use it, that's super exciting. So I think there's it's obviously a very different world, and that it's hard. Like there are things that are very difficult to talk about just because they're out of context and so wouldn't make much sense. So I think my updates are more high level, or things they see on Instagram through our marketing, rather than like the nitty gritty of running a business.
So I'm curious, when will you, it's available in Miami now. You're using it in Miami. When
Yes.
can other people use it here in the States? Because I know, I looked at your website. So London, so when is it going to be available for people in the States?
Good question. So currently you can still download it anywhere. We just target our like launches a bit like Uber did, city by city, to ensure we have community leaders suggesting lots of events, inviting friends. Because like most social apps, unless you're a member of a community, like a run club, or unless your friends are on, you're not going to find anything to do. So if Adelaide downloads it randomly, none of her friends will be on it. But if there are users that are so passionate about using this product, they can download it, add their friends, and use it. You know, make a card, broadcast it to their friends, and see who's free. And we've seen that happen. But I think our plan is next to launch in New York and LA towards the end of this year or beginning of next year. So yeah, keep an eye out. And if you do want to launch in your city, please do email me at alyx@clyx.app, and we can talk about making you the kind of city leader.
Okay, I'm just suggest look at Boulder and Denver, because Boulder feels that they are the next Silicon Valley. So look at Boulder and Denver. And Denver has an incredible population of women entrepreneurs.
Really? That's a great, wow. I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
So I'm hoping that you'll come to Denver. And I'm going to send you an invitation to come to Denver.
That's very kind. Thank you. I would love to. My dad used to spend a lot of time in Boulder. So he'll be very happy you're finally persuading me out there.
Oh, okay. All right. This has been great. Is there anything you'd like to add that you want to tell young women about being in business and school? Any suggestions when they're going to college? I know, Addie's getting ready to go to LMU, which is a large university, very prestigious on the West Coast.
For sure. I would say, I mean, first of all, never hesitate to contact me if you do have questions or things I can help with. 2 points of advice. I'll start with the one for college and then more for business. For college, I would say general points: understand people in the first year, not necessarily going to be your friends in the fourth year. It takes you time to find your group. And I remember so many of my friends in our graduating year came out and said, I was so anxious in year one, I didn't feel I had good friends. And everyone said to me that it didn't matter. And now I'm in year 4 and I realized, yeah, now I found my friends. So I would say, don't worry too much about the first year. Just think of it as like a trial period. Second year, you can start fresh. I'd also say, try as many things as you can. I remember I was like, I wanted to take the right classes or classes for my major, but I wish I could go back and just stretch as broad as I could to get a taste of what I really want to do. I think that's what's so good about college in the US. And from a business point of view, I would say when you hear about startups, you hear about entrepreneurship, you kind of hear about all the highs. Like even my friends, they hear about all the exciting moments, whether it's this acquisition offer or that new user market. But what you don't hear about is the lows. And I don't know one single entrepreneur who won't tell you that it is a huge roller coaster. The highest highs are followed by the lowest lows. And just prepare yourself for that, and always know the next high is for sure around the corner. And know that that is the way of life of an entrepreneur, and not something that you should be anxious about. Like, you will get things wrong. If you don't get things wrong, you're not going to learn and get them right. So kind of embrace that process rather than be scared by it.
So how do people get in touch with you if people want to contact you?
Alyx at CLYX.app. That's ALYX at CLYX.app.
Addie, do you have anything that you'd like to ask Alyx?
Sure.
Yes, go right ahead.
I know, especially within the business world, commanding respect and being an up and coming entrepreneur, especially as someone who's so young, might feel kind of challenging. How do you deal with moments of imposter syndrome or feeling like maybe, oh my gosh, maybe I don't belong, maybe I'm not going for it, maybe my lows are lower than my highs, you know, all the spiraling that your brain does. How do you deal?
I think the way I deal with it is always the same, which is, I know the problem I'm trying to solve. I really believe it's crazy that I can order an Uber or a burger quicker than I can find which of my friends is free to hang out with me. And I always tell myself, as long as this problem exists, which everyone has told me it does and I've experienced, someone's going to fix it. And why not me? Like, I know the target market. Someone's going to fix this one day. If I'm trying, that's what matters. And believe in the problem you're solving. That's super, super important, because you've identified it. You're there. No one else is.
I'm hoping to meet you in the near future. And everyone, thank you for joining us. And we will see you next time. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.